The first time I saw the alien capital of vile ties, it felt less like a city and more like a living thought given form. Spiral towers of pale crystal rose from floating terraces, each structure bending subtly as if responding to the hum of the planet beneath it. Veins of blue light flowed through the architecture like blood through veins, pulsing in time with the planet's magnetic heartbeat. Above it all hung the Queen Citadel, suspended in the sky by gravity anchors older than most civilizations in the galaxy. I stood at the edge of the arrival platform, hands bound in a restraint field, surrounded by soldiers whose armor shimmered with adaptive alloy scales. Their weapons were trained on me, though I doubted any of them truly believed I could escape. I was human, unarmed, alone, and I had been summoned before the most powerful ruler in known space. "Move," one of the guards hissed, her voice clicking through a translator node. I stepped forward, boots echoing against the crystal floor. Every alien on the platform watched me with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. Humans were rare here, rare and unwelcome. We were known as scavengers, traders, mercenaries, survivors, not saviors, certainly not heroes. As the massive doors of the citadel began to part, a whisper rippled through the assembled court. "The Queen is watching." I inhaled slowly, steadying myself. "Good," I thought. "Then she'll hear what I have to say." The debt written in blood. 7 years earlier, I had never imagined I'd stand here alive. Back then, I was a deep space pilot running relief routes through contested systems. No medals, no glory, just a battered cargo ship called the Wayfarer's Luck and a habit of going where others wouldn't. That mission had been routine: deliver medical supplies to a fringe colony orbiting a red dwarf. But halfway through the drift corridor, my senses lit up with a distress beacon. Alien in origin. That alone should have made me ignore it. The Zerati Imperium was infamous for territorial executions. One wrong move, one misunderstood gesture, and you could end up dissected for cultural research. But the beacon was weak, damaged, and something about its frequency modulation screamed emergency, not trap. Against my better judgment, I followed it. I found a shattered royal skiff embedded in the rings of an uncharted gas giant. Its hull bore the sigil of the Zerati crown, a coiled star encircling 3 crescents. Royalty. I almost turned away. Then I saw the life sign. Only one. The skiff had been torn apart by pirates, void scavengers who didn't care about empires or queens. Inside the wreckage, pinned beneath a collapsed bulkhead, was a young Zerati female. She couldn't have been more than 20 by human standards. Her skin shimmered like moonlit obsidian, patterned with faint bioluminescent lines that pulsed erratically. One of her forearms was twisted at an impossible angle. Her breathing was shallow, labored. Her eyes, silver and far too calm for someone dying, locked onto mine. The translator in my helmet crackled to life. "Human," she whispered. "Leave." "I'm not good at that," I said, already moving. She tried to raise a hand. Failed. "You do not understand," she said. "If I live, they will hunt you." I grunted, bracing the bulkhead with a portable jack. Story of my life. It took nearly an hour to free her. Pirates returned before I could leave, their ships swarming like insects. I fought my way out with thrusters flaring and hull plating screaming in protest. She lost consciousness before we hit hyperspace. I spent 3 days in the Wayfarer's Lux medical base stabilizing her with tech never designed for Zerati physiology. Every moment I expected Imperial warships to rip me out of the void. But they didn't. When she finally woke, she studied me for a long time. "You could have sold me," she said. "Could have," I replied. "Didn't feel right." "Why?" I shrugged. "Because you were dying." She stared at me as if that answer was more confusing than any lie. When we reached the edge of Zerati-controlled space, she stood unsteadily and bowed. "My name is Saren Vowel," she said, "daughter of Queen Merkala, heir to the Imperium." I nearly dropped my coffee. "You saved my life, human," she continued. "This debt will not be forgotten." Then she stepped into an Imperial retrieval craft and vanished from my life. Or so I thought. 2. The Queen who does not forget. The citadel doors sealed behind me with a sound like a closing tomb. Inside, the throne chamber stretched impossibly wide, its ceiling lost in starlight. Holographic constellations drifted above, slowly rotating around a central dais. And upon that dais sat Queen Merkala. She was larger than I expected, her presence commanding the space-like gravity. Her crown was not metal but living crystal, grown directly from her neural crest. Her many eyes fixed on me, each one sharp with intelligence and ancient power. Beside her stood Saren, older now, stronger, regal in a way that made my memory of her wounded and broken feel unreal. Her gaze met mine, and widened. The court erupted into murmurs. The Queen rose slowly. "Human," Merkala said, her voice resonating through the chamber without need for amplification. "Do you know why you have been brought before me?" I swallowed. "I have a guess. Your Majesty." Saren took a step forward. "Mother." Silence. The Queen said gently, never taking her eyes off me. She descended from the dais, each step deliberate. "7 cycles ago," she continued, "my daughter vanished. The Imperium mobilized fleets. Stars burned in the search." Her eyes narrowed. She returned alive. A clawed finger lifted my chin, forcing me to meet her gaze. "Do you remember her, human?" The chamber held its breath. I didn't flinch. "Yes," I said quietly. "I do." Saren's bioluminescent markings flared. "She remembers you," the Queen said, voice sharpening. "She remembers your ship, your name, your face." A pause. "She remembers owing you her life." The Queen's finger withdrew. "Tell me," she said, "why should the Imperium not claim repayment now?" Free, a life that echoes. The Zerati Imperium was not cruel by accident. It was cruel by design. Their culture revolved around balance. Every action required an equal counterweight. Debts were sacred. Oaths were binding beyond death. Mercy was rare because it created imbalance. Saving a royal life without claiming reward was unheard of. I straightened my shoulders. "I didn't save her for repayment," I said. "I saved her because letting her die felt wrong." A ripple of unease passed through the court. The Queen tilted her head. "You claim moral authority over fate itself." I shook my head. "No, I claim responsibility for my choices." Saren watched me as if seeing me for the first time. The Queen studied me for a long moment. "Interesting," she murmured. "You know, human, that my daughter has argued for your execution." The room froze. Saren turned sharply. "Mother." "Because," the Queen continued calmly, "you have destabilized her destiny. By saving her, you alter the balance of the Imperium." I let out a slow breath. If that's the price, I'll pay it. The Queen's eyes glinted. Brave, she said, or foolish. She gestured, and a holographic star map flared to life between us. The Imperium stands on the brink of war, she said. A coalition of rival species seeks to fracture our borders. They believe us weakened. Her gaze returned to me. They are wrong. The map shifted, highlighting a contested system. You will serve, she said, as a living symbol. I frowned. A symbol of what? Saren answered softly. A human who saved the future queen. The queen nodded. You will travel with my daughter as her envoy to the coalition, Merkala said. You will remind them that mercy exists within strength, and that the Imperium remembers its debts. And if I refuse? I asked. The Queen smiled, slow and dangerous. Then the debt will be collected in blood. For, among enemies and stars, traveling with Saren was nothing like rescuing her from a wreck. She was no longer a frightened princess. She was a commander, a diplomat, a warrior trained in the ancient disciplines of her people. Wherever we went, others bowed or glared with hatred barely concealed. The coalition worlds were worse. They spat curses at my feet, called me traitor, claimed humanity had sold itself to an empire of tyrants. Saren endured it all in silence, until one night, aboard her flagship, she sought me out. Why did you agree? She asked, standing beside the viewport as stars streamed past. I considered the question, because if I didn't, someone else would, and they might not care. She turned toward me. You should hate us. Maybe, I said, but I don't. She studied my face, searching for deception. You saved me without knowing who I was, she said. That confuses my people. It confuses me too, I admitted. For the first time, she laughed, a soft, genuine sound. Human, she said, do you know what my mother truly fears? I shook my head. She fears that the Imperium will one day forget how to choose, Saren said, between power and compassion. Her gaze softened. You reminded her. The war that never was. The final summit took place on neutral ground, a dead world stripped to stone by ancient wars. The coalition arrived with fleets poised to strike. Saren stood before them, regal and unyielding, and beside her stood a single human, me. They demanded proof of the Imperium's sincerity. Saren gestured to me. This human, she said, was once nothing to us. He had no power, no leverage, and yet he chose mercy. She turned to me. Tell them, she said. I spoke of the wreck, of the bleeding princess, of the choice I made when no one was watching. Silence followed. Then the coalition leader stepped forward. You would risk war, he said, for one life. I met his eyes. I risked nothing, I said. I just didn't walk away. The war never came. Treaties were signed. Borders stabilized. And when it was over, Saren returned to vile ties to claim her place beside her mother. I was summoned one last time. 6, the question answered. The throne chamber felt different now. Lighter. Queen Merkala regarded me with something like respect. The debt is settled, she said. You are free to go, human. Saren stepped forward. Mother, she said, there is one thing left. The queen raised a brow. Saren turned to me. Do you remember me, human? She asked softly. I smiled. I never forgot. Her bioluminescence flared, bright as a sunrise. Then the Queen surprised us both. You will be offered a place here, Merkala said, as advisor, as bridge between worlds. I looked at Saren. She nodded. Some debt, she said, are not meant to be erased. I took a deep breath and stepped into a future I never meant to change, but did anyway. And, if you want, I can also adjust the tone to be darker or more romantic, rewrite it with more action and battle scenes, or craft a sequel-ready ending for a series. Just tell me thumbs up sign. Response 1. Understood. Response 1 equals darker tone. Below is a fully rewritten, darker, more intense long-form version of the story, designed specifically for 30-plus minute narration. It follows a serious, somber sci-fi tone, heavier political tension, moral weight, and emotional gravity, while keeping the same title and premise. Do you remember me, human? The alien queen's daughter owed me her life prologue, the summons. The Zerati capital was not built to welcome visitors. It was built to end arguments. Vial ties floated above its planet like a judgment rendered in crystal and fire, an ancient throne city suspended by gravity engines no modern engineer truly understood. Its towers spiraled upward like frozen screams, each one etched with runes that glowed faintly as if remembering every execution, every war, every oath ever sworn beneath them. I stood on the arrival platform in chains made of light. They didn't cut into my skin. They didn't need to. Every Zerati soldier surrounding me wore armor grown rather than forged, living plates that shifted subtly, reacting to my pulse, my breath, my fear. Their weapons were quiet. No humming, no warning. Just the certainty that if one of them twitched, I would die before my body hit the floor. I was human. That alone was enough to make this a death sentence. The massive doors ahead of me began to open. A low vibration rolled through the platform, resonating through my bones. Zerati architecture was designed to announce power. Even the air felt heavier as a throne chamber revealed itself. I didn't resist when they marched me forward. There was no point. Everyone in the Imperium knew what happened to those summoned before Queen Merkala without invitation. They were remembered. Briefly. Chapter 1. 7 years earlier. 7 years earlier, I had been no one. No rank, no title, no empire backing my decisions. Just a pilot with a rusted freighter and a habit of flying routes that maps warned against. The Wayfarer's luck wasn't much to look at. Its hull bore scars from micrometeorites and near misses with pirates. Half its systems were held together by stubbornness and prayers. But it could outrun most patrol ships, and more importantly, it could disappear. That mattered in the outer systems. The distress signal hit my console halfway through a drift corridor near the Nareth Expanse. Alien frequency. Encrypted. Fading fast. I should have ignored it. Everyone knew the Zerati Imperium enforced its borders with surgical brutality. Trespassers weren't warned. They were erased. If a Zerati ship was in trouble, it wasn't my place or my problem. I hovered over the controls for a long moment. Then the signal spiked, just for a second, pain encoded in data. I cursed it under my breath and altered course. Chapter 2. The Wreck. The wreck was tangled in the rings of a gas giant, its hull torn open like something had tried to peel it apart. Royal markings. That was when fear finally caught up to me. Zerati royalty didn't travel without escorts. If a royal skiff had gone down here, something had gone catastrophically wrong, and whatever cause it might still be nearby, I should have run. Instead, I ran a life scan. One signal. Weak. Fading. I docked manually, every second expecting my sensors to light up with pirate signatures or Imperial kill ships. Inside the wreck, the air was thin and bitterly cold. She was trapped beneath a collapsed bulkhead. Zerati physiology was unmistakable. 4 arms, elongated spine, skin like dark glass threaded with faint bioluminescent veins. One of her eyes was shattered. Her breathing rattled like broken machinery. When she saw me, her remaining eye widened, not in relief, but dread. "Human," she whispered, the translator struggling with her language. "Leave." "I can't," I said quietly. "You must," she insisted. "If I live, they will destroy you." I didn't argue. I just started lifting the wreckage. She screamed when the pressure shifted. Blood, silver and luminescent, spilled across the deck. Every alarm in my suit screamed at me to stop. I didn't. Chapter 3. Mercy is a Crime. Pirates returned before I could finish stabilizing her. 3 ships. Fast. Ugly. Desperate. They didn't care who she was. Only what she was worth. The escape was chaos. Thrusters burning. Shields failing. Hull screaming as debris tore past us. The Wayfarer's luck barely survived the jump. She flatlined twice in the med bay. I brought her back both times. When she finally woke, days later, she stared at me like she was trying to decide whether I was real. "You could have sold me," she said. I nodded. "Yeah." "Or killed me." Also true. "Why didn't you?" I thought about it. Because the universe kills enough people already. She was silent for a long time. "My name is Saren Varel," she said at last. "Daughter of Queen Merkala." I laughed. Then I realized she wasn't joking. Chapter 4. The Price of Life. When the Imperium reclaimed her, they skinned every atom of my ship. They didn't kill me. That was worse. They questioned me for days, probed my mind, searched for motive that made sense to them. Profit, ambition, manipulation. They found none. Saren watched silently as I was released. "Our laws demand balance," she said before leaving. "A life for life." "I don't want one," I replied. Her gaze hardened. "That is not how this works." Then she was gone, and I spent the next 7 years waiting for the other shoe to drop. Chapter 5. The Queen. Now, standing in the throne chamber, I finally understood why it had taken so long. Queen Merkala descended from her throne like a living god. Her presence pressed against my mind. Every instinct screamed to kneel. I didn't. "Do you remember her, human?" the Queen asked. "Yes." Her claws lifted my chin. "She remembers you," the Queen said softly. "Every breath you force back into her lungs." The court whispered. "She believes she owes you a debt." The Queen's eyes narrowed. Debts destabilize empires. Chapter 6. A Weapon Made of Memory. The Imperium was preparing for war, not because it was weak, but because others feared what it might become. The Queen didn't want me dead. She wanted me visible. I was sent with Saren as a living contradiction, a human reminder that the Imperium could choose restraint. Assassination attempts followed us everywhere. Coalition leaders called me a collaborator. Some humans called me a traitor. Saren never defended herself. She defended me. Chapter 7. The confession. One night, as stars burned past a viewport, she spoke quietly. "If you had let me die," she said, "the Imperium would already be at war." I looked at her. "You're saying I broke the future?" "Yes," she replied, and gave us another one. Her bioluminescence pulsed, soft, vulnerable. My mother fears what that means. So do I admitted. Chapter 8, The Choice. The final summit was a knife edge. Fleets ready, weapons primed. Saren spoke of strength. Then she spoke of mercy. She told them about a human who had no reason to care, and did anyway. When they asked me why, I answered honestly, because someone had to choose not to be a monster. Silence followed. Then weapons powered down. Epilogue. The question. Back on Vile Ties, the Queen regarded me one last time. "The debt is settled," she said. Saren stepped forward. "Do you remember me, human?" I met her eyes. I remember the girl who refused to die. Her markings flared like dawn breaking over a dark world. And for the first time, the Imperium did not feel like a prison. It felt like a beginning. The end.